Whisper in the yard and turn the trees all into toys. Lay there on the ground and turn the dirt into your joy. Before you start to drift and your soul begins to scream, I just wanted to tell you that you're listening to a dream.
Pace's Playground. Pace's Playground Podcast. Pace's Playground Podcast.
I am a Cold Chamber fan. I've been since 1997. Personally, I would attribute the style to this tendency to linger on a few notes, and also the way the guitar is playing as a staccato, which is not that often that we hear that in nu metal. So what would be your personal description of Cold Chamber's current style?
I think it's still the same style, honestly. I think Meegs' guitar sound is the Cold Chamber sound, and I think that the roots will always be the same. But I think obviously as musicians and people, we've evolved with being in other projects and time and just being seasoned, So there's a new spin to it. So it sounds like a newer version of what we are. But I do think we have our own sound,
I was listening to your new album Rivals on iTunes, and I was looking through the reviews, and I was asking myself, do bands nowadays use that kind of info maybe to set up a list of songs being played on the air or to play on stage? Does new media influence you now in terms of promo or creation?
No, not me personally.
All right.
I'm old school. I'm definitely not that involved with social media or any kind of stuff like that, I'm just kind of like living under a rock, living in my own head half the time. So I personally don't get influenced by that, but I can't speak for anybody else, All
right, so do your bandmates stress over the number of followers they have on Twitter or the fans they have on Facebook?
I don't know if they're really stressing on it. Personally, I don't stress on it. I think it's all nonsense. I mean, I really do. I think it sucks that nowadays people look at your followers on Twitter, on Facebook, on your likes, and that supposedly means something. And, that's going to kind of, people judge you by that, I mean, it's just kind of silly, I think, because you don't know, somebody could like something and they can never come back to your website and check out stuff, But it's necessary. It's a necessary evil. You can't get away from it, so you have to play along and do all that stuff. But on a personal level, I'm not a fan.
I was in LA a few months ago, and I walked past the Whisky a Go-Go and the Roxy Theater. I think that you guys got discovered in that particular place, Whisky a Go-Go. Do you think that those two venues are still relevant to new rock bands, maybe in LA or around in the music scene?
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many rock venues on Sunset Strip anymore, They just tore down or they just shut down the House of Blues. There's really just the Whisky, the Viper Room, the Roxy. It's kind of sad to see venues go, But, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a whole nother scene going on in Los Angeles that's probably more on the east side. Probably more like Silver Lake, that kind of area. That's probably where the more organic, interesting stuff is happening right now. That's a lot more underground. It's so underground that I don't even know about it.
Do you think that's proper to LA? Or maybe just we're now in 2015, iTunes, MySpace, SoundCloud, or whatever, that left the venues aside as maybe obsolete nowadays?
Well, I think people are always going to be interested in live music, That is something that you cannot copy, or I should say download for free or illegal download, So I think that's something that's always going to exist. People are always going to look for live entertainment, That's why we are still somewhat in business, because if it was only about record sales, that would be pretty tough.
And in terms of a new band, wanting to be out there, maybe 20 years ago, that was the only way you were being discovered. Have a demo tape or maybe play on the air. Now it's just, let's send an MP3 through an email and we don't care about busting our asses that hard to get to the Whisky a Go-Go or get booked at the Roxy Theater.
Well, I don't know new bands, how to make it nowadays. That seems like a really tough thing to figure out. I don't think anybody really knows, The market is overflowing with all kinds of music, all kinds of bands, and it's so much that you don't even know where to look, where the good stuff is, jobs for people are changing. Everybody thinks they're a producer because everybody can have Pro Tools or Logic or whatever they want and record things themselves. And that's cool to have that option for demoing and ideas. I still think that, there's value in having a good producer that can bring out something that as an artist you're maybe not seeing or hearing because you're so involved in your own art. So sometimes it's good to have the outside perspective. And, even producers are looking into other careers, because it's kind of like dying out a little bit, and I find it very sad, because I do think it's a very important thing. And I don't know the state of music anymore, I'm just happy to be here.
Well, actually, there's a lot of producers that I've liked through the years. Terry Date, Ross Robinson. How would you describe the importance of the producer?
I think it's very important. It's all about how you gel with somebody, what they hear. And again, like they might hear something that you don't, I think it's an important thing. You just got to find the right match, and that's going to be tough. And you might think you found the right match, and then later on you might go, oh, maybe that wasn't so much, That changes, like every record is usually different because your feelings, your vibe, what you put into it, who you're working with, that all changes, and that all influences what the record sounds like at the end, I think.
A lot of rock bands experience tensions and break up. Do you think that bands should be more educated on the business side of the music industry?
Well, yeah, sure, but we're artists, like nowadays it's almost like you have to be more educated on the business side of things because you pretty much have to run everything yourself, including social media and stuff. And that's, and then you're supposed to also sit down and write music and, translate your feelings into music, and then you're supposed to record it yourself. You're supposed to do everything yourself. So it's a lot for one person to do, and then to have it put out on the internet and not get paid for it. Sorry for the word, but we're like
Go ahead.
supposed to be like superhumans or something,
I know.
So it's a lot, it's a lot of work.
So in other terms, are tensions and breakup a fatality in the music industry? Because you guys are artists, because you work with your feelings?
I don't think that it's you have to break up, but I feel like it's just any relationship. It's like being married, being married with children, it's the same thing. You have like however many personalities trying to work things out and become one, and sometimes you're on the right track and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you need a little time apart to appreciate each other again and make it work. Or sometimes you realize, I'm really not interested in making it work. There's no rhyme or reason to it, I can't say like if it's supposed to like break up, That's, I guess, how you personally view relationships.
Yeah, well, actually, that's the idea I had from a personal standpoint. It's like any other personal relationship. You break up, you think about things, you come back, and then you see if you really want to make it work. So, did the breakup help you guys to create, like to settle down in a creative manner and then start fresh with new creative ideas, new musical ideas?
Definitely. I definitely think so. Having a 13-year break is a long time,
Yes, indeed.
But it was necessary, It's not necessarily what I wanted, or I don't think that's what anybody really wanted, but it just happened that way, and you cannot force things, Timing is everything, and even if you maybe want it today, maybe it's just not meant to be, and then you got to wait a couple more days or years or centuries or whatever, For us, it was good, because we all kind of grew up a little bit, and had some other perspectives, went through some other things in life. And now we can take that and actually look at each other and go, you know what, we do like playing with each other. We do like creating music with each other, and we enjoy each other on stage. So I think we all became more humble and grateful. Just kind of like take it for the moment, take it for what it is, like, live in the moment kind of thing, It's great today. I don't know what happens tomorrow, but nobody does.
And do the new ideas are being heard in Rivals?
I think so. Yep. Yeah, I think so. It definitely still has the cold chamber sound, but I think it's a new vibe to it, but it's 13 years later, you can't like be exactly like 13 years ago. It's just a natural progression.
It's the first time I've ever met a woman that works in the music industry. How does the synergy in the band, how does that come about?
You know what? I mean, for me, it's pretty like normal to live with all the guys. You know, I feel very comfortable with that. But you know, I guess I kind of grew up like kind of like gypsy lifestyle. You know, like my parents traveled a lot, and I slept in a lot of different places, and I met a lot of different people from different backgrounds. So I think I kind of already grew up with this kind of artsy gypsy lifestyle. You know, so coming into a bus with a bunch of guys is very natural for me. I guess I can be somewhat of a tomboy, you know, and, you know, when I'm on the road with these guys, I'm pretty much like one of the guys. I mean, I'm still a woman, but, you know, it's, you know, there's road code and that's it, you know.
What's the road code?
Keep your mouth shut. Hey, this is Nadja from Cold Chamber, and you're listening to Pace's Playground Podcast.
Pace's Playground Podcast. Find it, hear it on SoundCloud and iTunes. Comment, react, or troll via Twitter at PlaygroundPod, Facebook.com/PlaygroundPodcast, email playgroundpodcast@hotmail.com.
PlaygroundPodcast.com.